create a new form. Okay, I'm going to talk today about how to create forms in the system. The place that you need to go from the main menu is into the administration module. From the administration module, you go to forms and questions, and this is where new forms are set up. The way I would do it, I have my form over here to the right in Word, and I've got my system here, so I want to start by creating a new form. And I'm going to call it what John called it, which is CIQ Office. Oops. And essentially what you need to do at the top is determine which kind of a form it is, and from what I can see from this one, I would think that it's a marketing form or it's a skincare form. So John, that's something that you need to decide. I think maybe I'll leave this one as a skincare one. The other thing that you can do is decide if you want it to be a form that's a default form or an optional form. And the difference between these two things is if it's a default, every time a new record's created, this form will automatically be added to that record. If it's an optional form, then this is manually added by the user if it applies to that patient or that client, the new client that's coming in. So that's it. I'm not going to add any additional notes here, but if I wanted to, I could, and this is just for the person who's setting up the form. Okay, so there's my form. You can see it's highlighted. If I wanted to change anything, I'd click Edit, and I would change it. It would pop this open. I'd change it again. And now over on this side is where I start to build the questions. So I'm going to click New. And my first question, I don't think I'm going to put in the name because that will automatically be entered by who's the patient's record that it's attached to, and same thing with the date. You know, we'll probably have something set up on the printout that, well, actually when the form's added, it probably adds a date as well. So I think I'll just leave the date off for now, but we could add it in again later if we wanted to. Okay, so the first section that I'm going to put in is this one, and it says General Appearance. I'm going to just copy this out, and I'm going to paste it into Filemaker. The groupings, let me see, this form is pretty simple. There aren't really any groupings, so I'm not going to use that. And then maybe later on I'll kind of show you what the grouping, how you would use the grouping. It's really kind of just to put up headings and stuff like that. So for this one, obviously we have an option list. And I'm going to come in here and select all the options. Oops. I just pasted it into the, paste it in here, click that back on. I have to obviously do a little bit of cleanup with here. So I'm just going to pause my video for now while I do this cleanup. Okay, what you'll see now is I have copied everything from my Word document into, excuse me, the question definition. So everything's here, and I've cleaned it up a little bit so that there's the little, whatever, I had little bullets or whatever over on the side. There's one more question at the end, which is a kind of like an other. So I think what I'm going to actually do is just create a new one. I'm going to add here, I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to just, I think I'm going to just put other here. I'm not sure exactly how you'd want this to set up, John, but I'll just do it that. I'm going to just say that I want it to be text, and then what happens is that when you see it on the other side, it'll just show up that way. When I say the other side, what I mean is on the patient side. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next part. So I've got another question in here to cover off this one. So the next question is just down here, how did you hear about us? So just new. And again, you could make it, you know, this one looks like it's just an open text question. You could have some questions down here if you wanted, but I'm going to just leave it as a text. And I'm just going to continue with this form. And it's easiest, obviously, just to copy and paste, so that's what I'm going to do. This is a yes-no question. And I guess this one doesn't really have any kind of there's no heading for this one, so I guess, what am I going to do? I know I'm gonna do it actually as yes, no's as well. And you'll see too, as I'm going along, the sort number just keeps incrementing automatically. Obviously, you don't want to have any extra returns or anything like that. I'll put a period here. That one has one. And do a yes, no. And then last. This is just a text. And that's about it. Obviously I'm not going to do anything with the patient signature at this point. So that's the end. Okay, so the last part of this is, of course, how is this going to look when we see it from the patient side? So I'm going to just go into a patient record. And I'm going to add the form. So normally when you come here, this would look like this. I'm going to do this a little bit more slowly. So from administration, I went to the main menu. From the main menu, I'm going into a client record, and I'm just on a client record right now. I'm going to click on the forms, and I'm going to look for the one that I just added and add it. Select it over here. So over here you can see all the questions are showing up in red. It means that they haven't been filled in yet. So I'm going to click on the first one, and these will appear in the order, the sort order that we had set up in the administration module. Anything that needs to be filled in is highlighted in yellow. So the first question is general appearance of products that interest you. Please check all that apply. So I'm going to just check the ones that I'm interested in. And what you'll see is that once I fill stuff in, this will turn black, and it'll turn black in here as well, and it means, and this turns to complete, which means that that question has been filled in. Go to my next one, general appearance, so this is my other question. And so, you know, I could have put this other down here. Could have actually also added it to the previous question, so maybe I'll show you how to do that as well, and there's nothing else. I'm going to just leave that one blank. So actually, I guess in order, you can do one of two things. You can force completed, or you could put an NA in here, and all that does then is it means that this one isn't outstanding anymore. So you can see it's gone from there now. How did you hear about us? Okay, here's my yes, no questions up here. So I could just click that. And you can actually even add in additional information. This isn't formatted as a phone number, so it can be added in as anything. Email address. And that's it. I'm done. So you'll see now all of my questions are complete. If I wanted to print this, you can print from here. And essentially it does a summary of what you've filled in. So it tells you who the person is, their client ID. They don't have a client ID yet. These are records that were imported, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. So here's the form name, and then here, I'm not sure actually how much you can see this. I'll make it a bit bigger for you. So there's the form name, and then the questions are bolded and the responses are not. So check or tell us which areas are important to you, blah, blah, blah. So essentially these are just the filled in, this is the filled in form. So I'm going to close that. And that's it.